My child, do not let your heart leap in fear, nor settle into the smallness of old comforts. I am moving you, not to exile, but to the place where the breath of purpose will be wider, and your hands will learn new work. This is not a gentle nudge. It is a deliberate relocation of your life's center. Take this as a promise and a summons. I will carry the map, and you will carry your willingness. Between the two, nothing will be lost that is of eternal consequence. Leave then the worn-out certainties that have become cages. Leave then the worn-out certainties that have become cages. Leave the conversations that never dared to dream, the commitments kept only out of habit, the opinions you were taught to wear like ill-fitting clothes. Pack up the stones of accusation you have hurled at yourself, the unopened letters of apology, the jewelry of pride that you have mistaken for identity. Bring instead a small bundle of soft things: humility, curiosity, patience. These are the garments that will not tear when storms come. They will keep you warm in nights when the stars feel distant. Do not attempt to bring every debt, every grudge, every expectation you ever held for others. They will weigh you down and slow your steps. Release what you cannot change. Tend to what you can. Forgive where forgiveness is possible, not because the wrong should be forgotten without consequence, but because unforgiveness anchors you to a place I have already determined you must leave. There is grace enough to satisfy justice and mercy enough to begin again. Let both do their work while you move forward. Know that this address change includes a transformation of your work and your rest. I am not merely relocating your house. I am placing your bed by a different window so that you may wake to a new light. Work that once felt insignificant will find its place in a larger story. Doors that were locked tight will open because your hands, now unburdened by doubt, will reach for the latch. But there will also be nights when you must learn the discipline of rest. True rest, not busyness disguised as virtue. In that rest, your heart will remember who I made you to be. You will meet new people on this path. Companions who will challenge you, lovers who will heighten your compassion, strangers who will become family. Do not fear them, but do not idolize them either. Learn to recognize when a person is a waypoint and when they are a home. Some will sharpen your spirit, others will blunt it. Listen with reverence, but test what you hear with the life I have written into you. Keep your doors open enough to receive help and wise counsel, and firm enough to protect the fragile growth that takes root inside you. I will change the landscape around you. Mountains may rise where plains were, and rivers will reroute their courses. What appears as obstacle is often the shaping hand of architecture. I build character with resistance. When you face a cliff, do not think I have abandoned you. Think rather that I am teaching you a new kind of climbing, that I might show you vistas you could not see from the lowlands. The climb will demand skill and a surrender of false independence. The view will repay both. Expect seasons. This address change is not an instant escape from hardship. There will be mornings when the bed you wake in is still new enough that loneliness creaks in the corners, and evenings when questions sit on your chest like heavy quilts. Seasons are part of formation. Winter hardens roots, summer makes them stretch. The fruit of the new home will not be immediate in every branch. Wait with an active hope. Plant, prune, water, and trust the timetable that is truer than your own. Remember that I change addresses not to abandon your story, but to reveal more of it. Your past will come with you, sometimes in memory, sometimes in lessons learned, but it will not dictate your future. There is a holiness in continuity and a holiness in newness. Do not despise the house you leave. Thank it for what it taught you. At the same time, do not let gratitude for the old become an excuse to resist the gift I am now handing you. You will be tempted to rush this journey by bargaining for shortcuts. Beware bargains that promise arrival without growth, certainty without discernment, success without sacrifice. They are counterfeit maps drawn by fear and by the clamor of quick applause. The path I choose for you is not the easiest, but it is the truest. It will call you to courage, the kind that looks fear in the face and says, I will move anyway. Courage births integrity. Integrity births the kind of life that anchors others. Practical things I will give you for the road. A clarity of vision so your steps are not wasted. A resilience that mends small betrayals and setbacks. Companions who will walk with you and prophets who will correct you. I will teach your hands to make what is needed and your mind to see what others miss. I will place opportunities in your path that fit the shape of your heart, not merely your skill set. When you are open, you will recognize them. When you are closed, you will misname them as misfortunes. There will be costs. Sometimes leaving a place requires leaving a person, or at least the role you played in that person's life. Some friendships are meant to season you for a while, to teach you a lesson, not to live forever. Grieve these endings. Let your tears be honest. Grief is not failure. It is the currency of love. It marks what was precious and honors the past, even as you accept that your address has changed. Hear this. I will not promise you a life without error. You will fall. You will misstep. If you were unerring, you would not be human, and if you were untouched by consequence, you would not be formed. But I promise to meet you in those moments, to gather the fragments and, with skillful hands, set them again into usefulness. Do not let shame freeze you into inaction. My mercy is not an enabler of inertia. It is the springboard of re-engagement. Rise when you must rise. Prepare what you can. Learn what you must. Be careful with speech in this season. Words are the mortar that builds houses and the sparks that burn them down. Speak with truth and tenderness. When you must confront, do it from a posture of repair rather than retribution. When you celebrate, let gratitude be the loudest sound. There are tongues in the new neighborhood that wish to be heard. Listen before you lecture. In the hush that sometimes follows restraint, you will learn the accents of a new community. As you reconstruct the interior of your life, cultivate a simple altar, a rhythm of silence, an hour of honest reflection, a practice of giving. The altar is not a place to prove worth, but a place to reorient, to remember that you are not the builder who alone carries the burden. Let these practices be small gestures that form a larger disposition. Routine makes the soul reliable. Do not despise the small acts of faith. They are often the scaffolding of great outcomes. I am relocating more than your physical address. I am shifting the axis of your heart. What used to be the center will become peripheral. You will find new loyalties, and the recalibration will unsettle you. Anchor instead in what cannot be moved. Love, humility, a willingness to serve. These are the stable coordinates in any geography. Where fleeting honors fade, where reputations dissolve, these roots hold. Do not fear the unknown languages you will have to learn, the idiom of a new team, the rhythm of a different city, the rituals of a culture that seems unrelated to your own. Language is not only words, it is posture and habit. Be a student again. Ask questions that begin with how, more often than why me. Curiosity softens pride and builds bridges. When you are befriending a new practice, do not be ashamed of being awkward. Awkwardness indicates honesty. Understand that turning toward the new address will sometimes require turning away from the center of attention. You may have to give up small crowns, applause, expertise, visibility that once defined you. Do not grieve those crowns as though they were the source of your value. They were only reflections. Let the loss of them be a gateway to deeper service. In smaller rooms you will find larger tasks. In quieter places you will hear the pulse of what is true. I will protect you in ways you cannot see. There are guardians at thresholds, unseen lights over steps, providences that spin out of human flaw into divine purpose. But protection is not insulation. It is a shape that allows growth within boundaries. Sometimes protection will look like no when you begged for yes, and sometimes protection will look like no when you begged for yes, and sometimes like wait when you demanded now. Trust the wisdom of a shelter that sees farther than your immediate desire. I am moving you toward a home where your gifts are not simply consumed, but multiplied. Talents you thought spent will be mined again, and will produce more than they once did. The multiplication often comes after a season where you faithfully stewarded little. Small faithfulness is a satellite that attracts opportunity. When you refuse to hoard your light, others will see and be encouraged to carry torches of their own. This is how communities become luminous. Expect instruction. I will speak with clarity and sometimes in parables, stories you will have to slow down to understand. Keep a journal of discoveries. Names and dates will matter here. Remember who helped you, and mark the moments of insight. Retelling your own history with gratitude preserves the lineage of grace. When you forget the origins of your courage, you will be tempted to claim it as your own. Remember instead the stream that birthed the river. Do not be naive about opposition. Forces that profit from stagnation will not celebrate your move. There will be voices that call your leaving reckless, neighbors who brand your hope as delusion. Resist the urge to retaliate. Sometimes the clearest victory is silence and a better life. When you meet resistance, respond with more integrity, not more rhetoric. Let your life be the answer those critics cannot craft. Be creative in stewardship. New address, new resources, new responsibilities. But stewardship is not only of money. Steward your attention, your time, your affection. Where you invest these, life will grow. Allocate them with care. Fast from what steals them and feast on what nourishes them. Your boundaries will be the fences that allow a garden to flourish, not the walls that keep joy out. I will re-educate your definition of success. Success in this home will not be defined by quantity, but by fidelity. A faithful heart is the true measure of a life well lived. Faithful to the call, faithful in small tasks, faithful in love when love is costly. The applause of crowds is ephemeral. The testimony of a life that kept covenant echoes into generations. Live for the testimony, not the trophy. Celebrate the ordinary. The new home will be filled with moments of common beauty. A shared meal, the sound of laughter in the stairwell, the repair of a relationship, a small hand held in the dark. These are the threads that knit a life into something durable. Do not dismiss them seeking only the spectacular. The spectacular is often built upon 1,000 ordinary faithful acts. Prepare for hospitality. You will be invited to give and to receive. Open your table and your heart. Hospitality is both an offering and a discipline. It teaches you how to be present to the stranger and how to let others be present to you. When you welcome others, you practice the larger welcome I have always held for you. And remember to celebrate endings. When you finally walk away from the old address, do not do so in stealth. Ritualize the departure. Speak words of thanks aloud. Leave a note of peace behind. Endings that are honored become memory instead of regret. They make room for beginning. As this relocation progresses, know that I will be near in ways that reconfigure your understanding of nearness. Sometimes I will be thunder in the mountains, undeniable and stirring. Other times I will be a cup of water offered at dawn, quiet, necessary, sustaining. Both forms are real. When you search for me in the dramatic and neglect me in the everyday, you miss the full measure of my presence. Finally, be brave enough to be small sometimes, and large enough to dream often. Humility and ambition are not enemies when rooted rightly. Humility keeps your feet on the ground. Ambition gives your hands direction. Let them work together. Dream as if possibility is abundant. Serve as if your life is alone. Live as one who has been given a new address and recognizes that the home is both gift and task. Go now with a steady heart. Pack up the essentials: honesty, repentance, courage, generosity, and rest. Fold them carefully. Leave the rest behind or send it ahead as a memory that informs but does not imprison. I will travel with you. My presence is the seal on your relocation. Where you arrive, you will find not merely a new set of walls, but a deeper capacity to love, to create, and to bless. Listen for the sound of new doors. They will not all be loud. Some will open with a small click, an invitation to volunteer, a whispered come from someone you barely know, a sudden clarity in prayer. Step through them. Each door is a doorway to a broader address, and every doorway you cross with integrity reshapes the city around you. Trust this. The move I orchestrate is not for vanity, not for self-exaltation, but for the flourishing of many. Your new home will be a place where those who were overlooked are seen, where courage is modeled and taught, where love is practiced as a verb. In that address, your life will have consequences beyond your sightlines. That is the economy I am cultivating. My child, I move you not from restlessness, but from intention. To remain forever where you first felt safe would be to mistake shelter for destiny. I change your location because I will not allow your life to calcify around comfort. Movement preserves wonder and reshapes appetite. When you are shifted, the small certainties you mistook for truth loosen their hold so truer longings can rise. Sometimes the relocation is plainly physical. A new town, a different house, a changed workplace. Those moves are practical. Soil matters and seasons matter. Your gifts often need particular ground to flourish. Yet more crucial are the relocations that happen inside you, a reordering of priorities, a re-education of desires, a new horizon for your imagination. Mental and spiritual moves are quieter but more enduring. They alter how you inhabit every place. I change location to dismantle idols of convenience. Comfort will always tempt you to settle, to believe systems are final. I displace you so you relearn dependence upon truth and not upon ease. This displacement is a corrective. It awakens hunger for what is lasting. Hunger drives prayer and creativity. It births the next chapter of faithfulness. Relocation tests what you love at your center. Loyalty to a house or a role is different from devotion to a calling. By moving you, I invite you to choose allegiance afresh. Will you serve habit, or will you serve purpose? Choosing the latter produces a love that stands when applause fades and when scenery changes. I move you to cultivate humility. Familiar admiration can become identity, and identity calcifies into entitlement. A new place strips automatic esteem, asking you to prove your tenderness and competence again, not for vanity but for growth. Humility reopens the hand so grace can flow anew. I change your bearings to grow compassion. When you inhabit only one neighborhood, you imagine reality from its borders. By placing you among varied people's sorrows and joys, I widen your imagination for another's pain and pleasure. Your prayers acquire accents you did not know, and your service learns new languages of consolation. Relocation reveals what rests beneath routine. Comfort covers fears and motifs of avoidance. In strange places, those coverings rub thin, and the real condition of the heart shows. This exposure is not punitive, it is clarifying. Once seen, what is wounded may be tended, what is hollow may be filled. Sometimes I move you to protect what I am forming. Not every season is for display. Some formative work must happen away from applause and interruption. Shelters of temporary withdrawal are not cowardice but preparation. In those seasons you build endurance and mend what the spotlight would have frayed. I move you to orchestrate encounters. There is an intelligence to meetings and intersections I steward. Your relocation places you where teachers, friends, and challengers will cross your path. Some doors you did not know you needed will open. Some tasks will be given because you happened into readiness. This is not random. It is providence enacted through motion. Change is also a refiner of truth love. Feelings will pull you toward comfort or fear. Truth will sometimes pull you through discomfort toward growth. When your heart's thermostat has to be reset by new surroundings, you learn to root worth in what is durable rather than in what flatters. I move you to teach inventive faith. New contexts require novel solutions. Where you once used formula, you will now practice improvisation. Making do with scarce resources trains creativity and trust. These practices yield durability, a faith that adapts and ministers in many climates. Relocation is a teacher of endings and beginnings. Departures are not failures, they are transformations. Leaving with gratitude honors the past and frees you for emergence. Begin well and end well. Together they compose a whole life marked by rhythm rather than random drift. I change your address to form a pilgrim's heart. Home is not only a location, it is orientation toward what is true and beautiful. A pilgrim's identity is made by direction, not by dwelling. Being aimed keeps the soul ready to love widely, to let go bravely, and to receive without clinging. I do not always show you the entire route. Mystery is part of faith. Not knowing the map cultivates trust and patience. Sometimes the instruction is simply to move, to step into a sequence whose later meaning will only be revealed in retrospect. This is how endurance and testimony are formed. I shift you because opposition will come. Those who benefit from the old will resist the new. When resistance rises, let your response be perseverance and clearer generosity. Fight with better life rather than louder complaint. In that posture you overcome more thoroughly. I move you because creation itself is restless toward renewal. Rivers alter their courses. Trees stretch toward light, seasons turn. You are made to participate in that divine restlessness. Each change of location is an invitation to co-create, to repair, to build, to bless. So when the summons comes to pack, whether the luggage is literal or merely a new set of perceptions, receive it as education. Do not cling to the familiarity that hides smallness, nor chase novelty for its own sake. Walk forward with steady hands, an open mind, and a heart practiced in gratitude. In every shift I am forming a soul capable of loving without calculation and serving without trophy. This is why I move you, to make you like the Maker, fit for an ever-widening home. I move you so your story becomes a song that others learn to sing. Your relocation is not solitary. It composes community. Each step you take in obedience harmonizes with many voices, knitting a chorus of repair. Trust melody. It will outlast any single stage of your journey. I know you have heard this before too, but let me remind you, there is a divine timing for everything and for everyone, and I do things at the very perfect time. But today, you need to herd me until the very end if you want to claim these upcoming blessings. Amen.